Hello! Welcome back, or welcome to my YouTube channel. This Annie also says hello. Hi, and welcome back, or welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Hannah. Today I decided I am going to talk about all the books that I read over the summer, which when I was putting the books in the pile next to me, I didn't realize, but it's actually quite a lot of books. However, it is well into fall. I mean, clearly the aesthetic behind me is fall, as I have already decorated my house. So this is going to be June through September books. I'm just going to give you a little bit about what the book was about, my thoughts on it, and then how many stars I gave it. Editing Hannah in the car. Don't judge. This video is actually going to get two parts because it was way longer than I anticipated it to be. So this is just part one of the video, and then part two is going to come very, very soon. So there you go. So without further ado, let's get into all the books that I read this summer. Okay, so starting in June, I think. I don't have that good of a memory. I did try to check my Goodreads account, link below. Please follow me, I would love that. I'm gonna start off with ones that I kind of read. First started in May, but it's a series, and I finished it in June, so I still wanted to incorporate it. This is gonna just not be off to a great start because of the controversy, but they are Colleen Hoover books. So I ended up reading Hopeless, I want to say sometime in May. Basically, this book was a roller coaster and just one that you really wouldn't want to ride again. I would just say, for one, check trigger warnings. I can read just about anything and everything. However, there were certain parts of this book that made me so uncomfy. I feel like she just kind of was like, hey, let me find every trauma that exists and throw it in a book, but in a Colleen Hoover way, you know, not like, I don't want to say not in a good way, but you kind of know what I mean. I love Colleen Hoover. I'm not a hater of her. Obviously, I literally spent my time reading not only this book, but all the rest in the series. So this one's just about this girl in high school, and then she meets this guy who, of course, is like, you know, your bad boy. They're seniors. It's sort of enemies to lovers to start with, but she has a lot of, like, history with her childhood, and then you find out that her and the lead guy knew each other when they were kids. It did have really good twists and turns. I did enjoy it enough, but at the same time, again, like I said, I do think the trauma-based situations were maybe a little much. So yeah, according to my Goodreads account, I gave this 2 stars, which for me, 2 stars is finished it, but wouldn't recommend. The second book, I gave a 3, which I say pretty good, but not super special. The reason I gave the following book a 3, though, is because it's actually from the lead guy's point of view. And when I tell you it's the same story, just from his point of view, which I thought was like, that's really boring. Kind of is, however, you can read it really fucking fast, given it's the same story. There's just different perspectives, obviously. This one I felt like was just a little bit better. The trauma was dialed down, okay? It wasn't so extravagant. I really, really loved the male character in this, so it was fun getting to see his point of view and his thoughts, and especially like what he had to endure is just like unimaginable. So it was just really, I guess, nice to see his perspective of it. So that is why I bumped it up to a 3 with this one. Honestly, I would say read this one instead of this one, since they are the same. You do what you want to do. Then I find out, unfortunately, that there's a whole ass, like, weird series that goes with this. We have 2 novellas from her. One is Finding Cinderella, and then the other one is Finding Perfect. I was like, you know what? I have to do it now. They're so short. I finished both of them in one sitting. Finding Cinderella is basically just about the main guy's best friend in the book and the main girl's best friend finding love. Finding Cinderella, whatever, yippty fucking do. Finding Perfect, I didn't mind it because I love me a good wrap up. This was like a wrap up to the whole series. Another book, let me grab it. So All Your Perfects is actually technically part of this series. It is so unbelievably able to be read as a standalone. I actually did read it as a standalone. I read this last year and I loved this book. I just had no idea that it was in connection at all to this little series. When I tell you the only way that it's connected is in Finding Perfect in like one page with one name. So it is cool how all of this wraps up and all of the books come together. I really did enjoy that part. This book absolutely could have lived my whole life never having read this, but you know, it is what it is. And this one is just, again, the only reason I appreciate it is because it was a good wrap up. So yeah, so I officially have read this entire series, whether I like it or not. Next up, getting out of the Colleen world. Okay, so next I'm gonna do the last Colleen book that I read this summer. I actually really didn't read a lot of hers this summer, just given that I've read most of them, and the ones that I haven't read I just don't I'm not too interested in. I finally read Reminders of Him. I heard so many people talk about this one. It really was not my favorite. I did only give it a 2-star, unfortunately. I don't know why I didn't really like it that much. I just didn't connect with it, and there was really nothing that I loved too much about it. I did like the concept. It was very different style for her, which I mean, Colleen really loves to kind of just write about anything and everything. She does not have a specific niche, in my opinion. And this one just really was just another different one. It's about a woman that serves 5 years in prison, and it's just for a tragic mistake. Basically, the love of her life died, and she ended up being pregnant with his kid in jail and was not able to ever see the kid. The guy that passed away, his parents get the kid. And so it's basically just her story of A, why she ended up in prison to begin with, and then B, when she gets out, finding her life again, finding herself again, and most importantly, finding her kid again. That is her main motive in everything. She ends up meeting this other guy that is connected to her lost previous boyfriend. So yeah, it just all kind of wraps up together. You know, there's all those little twists and turns and whatnot. It was good. I mean, like, by all means, I wouldn't say not read it. Personally, I was not wowed by it. Next up, what did I read after that? I finally read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I have heard so much about this book. Funny enough, I originally wanted to read it as a fall book. I ended up reading it as a summer book. It was one of my first summer books that I read this year. So this one's kind of just a friends to lovers. It goes over a period of time. There's this vacation home, and they met when they were in high school or middle school or something like that, and then it just kind of goes over the years, and they did end up having a relationship in high school, and then something happens and they break up, and then basically they all come back together at the end for a specific thing, and then you kind of find out, or the characters find out what happened, and then you as a reader find out a little bit more what happened. I mean, obviously you get bits and pieces. It's a now versus then, so that's how it goes. It's like present time versus past, which that I really enjoy books like that a lot. And so this one, like, I really can't complain. I did give it a 3 stars. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is the best book I've ever read, but it was really cute. It's a very good feel-good book, and I did really enjoy it, and I just remember reading this by the pool and being all cozy, and I can't complain about that. Next up, this one is basically, like, I don't know, I found these two too similar. So this is Every Summer After by Carley Fortune, and it's really, like I said, a very similar concept. This one, Love and Other Words, and The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I'll mention later because I did read that this summer, they are just so similar to the point where, like, I was almost getting confused and, like, mixed up from which was from which book. Like, I'm pretty sure when I watched the TV series of The Summer I Turned Pretty, I was expecting, like, something to happen, and I was like, wait, I think that was in, like, this book, you know? So again, like, good book, didn't hate it. I think this one I did only give 2 stars. Compared to the other ones that I read, this one just really wasn't my favorite, and I did find it rather slow, but again, it was really cute, and I do love soft summer romance books like that. I think I just read a little too many in a row, so I'll learn from my mistakes next year. I mean, for a cute summer romance, friends to lover trope, this is definitely a good book, and I wouldn't not recommend it if that's, like, up your alley of books to read. So next up, these are going to be all the Emily Henry books that I read over the summer. I first started with Happy Place because that was her newer release. I was very excited for it, but I'm not going to lie, it did not woo me very well. Granted, I'm not huge on Emily Henry, which I know is a very unpopular opinion. I do love her writing. I love the character development that she has in her books, and also just the life lessons that she incorporates in her books. For me personally, I just find them a little slow. I will say, I believe I gave it a 3-star just because I really loved the character development in this book with all the characters. It's a group of friends go to a Maine cottage every summer for a friend vacay. The main girl, Harriet and Wynne, they were a couple and then they break up, but they don't want to tell their friends because they don't want to ruin the trip. And so it's just about like, it's like a fake dating trope, but also friends to lovers, a little bit of enemies in there. They're friends at first, then, you know, they love each other, then they hate each other, then they're fake dating. So I mean, you have like a lot of good mixes of tropes in there, which kind of sucks because I feel like it maybe could have been like a little bit better. But again, I can't complain too much. I did really like it, and it did make for a pretty fun summer read, so definitely would recommend this book. The one I read after that was People We Meet on Vacation. I actually ended up talking to a girl at Apple. I was getting something and her and I were sitting there waiting for our things to like do that update or whatever, and I was reading this and she was like, I just could not get through that book. And I was like, really? Because actually, funny enough, this is probably one of my favorites from her. Like, out of the books that I've read from Emily Henry, I really enjoyed this one. This one and Beach Read, I put on like the same level. I gotta say, I did enjoy it. Basically, this book is about two best friends that met in college, and over time, every summer for 10 years, they go on like any type of trip that they so desire for the summer. And I think that is just so cute of an idea. Like, I wish I had a friend that I could go on a summer trip with every summer like that. They're basically just two best friends, 10 summer trips, one last chance to fall in love. You have your friends to lover trope, and it's just really cute and quirky, and it's just kind of like you have your sunshine kind of ex-grumpy characters, if you will. I did really enjoy that. And last but not least for Emily Henry, it was Book Lovers. Again, I feel like people either just love it or hate it. I was just somewhere in the middle. So this book I did give 3 stars. This book is really cute because the two characters are into writing and reading and things like that, so it's just kind of like insight into that area of life, which I feel like as a reader one might enjoy. Obviously, just says one summer, two rivals, a plot twist they didn't see coming. It's small town romance. It's actually based out of a like made up place outside of Asheville, North Carolina, so I just really enjoyed reading that. I enjoyed the scenery of it and the concept of it. It was a slow burn, but it was worth it, and I think the ending, like, I was really happy with it. What I really like about Emily Henry is she's very realistic in the sense that like everyone has these moments in their lives where they think like they can only go one way or another, but like really you can choose whatever path you want to go down. And that's my favorite thing I would say about Emily Henry's books, and why I continue to read them. And they're cute and cozy and just comfort reads. So yeah, those are the 3 Emily Henry books that I read over the summer. Thank you for watching, and I love you all, and I hope you have a good day. Bye!